Hey guys, Dr. Alex here, and today I want to take a look at Billy the Great Hope. Billy has a lot of technical flaws, which I'm going to point out. It's quite impressive that he's had such an incredible career. It almost defies belief. He's really carried by his ability to withstand punishment. He's truly a modern-day Rocky Balboa. Today I'm going to take a look at his mechanics and show you some ways that he can improve. I'm also going to share a very sneaky tactic he used to win a huge fight against Miguel Escobar. I'm going to allude to some concepts here that you might not be familiar with, so definitely check out my reference video if you'd like to learn more about the concepts I discuss in this video. Let's get into the clips. All right, the first fight I want to show you is Billy Hope versus Darius Jones. Now, Billy absorbs a ton of punishment in this fight. However, he's able to pull out the win as usual. You know, his ability to withstand punishment compared to other fighters is truly incredible. Now I want to take a look at a punch he throws here against Jones that he could really work on improving. Now it's left sort of a hook uppercut to the body. He could turn this into an excellent punch. You know, there's a couple of things that he doesn't do. Let's look at what he does do, and then I'll point out how he could improve it. One thing that Billy does is really lead always with his shoulder rather than with his hips and his center. And you'll see it right here. See that big stretch in his shoulder as it comes back? Now, I do showcase a lot of this arm lag relative to hip and torso rotation in other fighters. However, in this sort of scenario, you want to stretch the crossbody chains that I talk about, which includes the pec. And this sort of real big angle on the shoulder shows me that he's only stretching his deltoid. Now, anatomically, this can happen when your shoulder blade goes forward. Remember I talk about even resting muscle tension? Billy either has a weak lower trap or has momentarily lost tension in the lower fibers of his trapezius, which are responsible for holding the shoulder blade down. The rhomboids are also involved in holding it back. So you want that neutral position of down and back. When that shoulder goes forward, the pec can't stretch as much as it could if the shoulder blade is back and down. And this is going to prevent the pec from being as effective as possible as part of the crossbody kinetic chains to power the punch. Bottom line, Billy needs to use his pec more and his crossbody chains more in this punch for it to be as effective as possible. More hip rotation, more body rotation to really create a stretch in his pec and his crossbody chains to power the punch. As a comparison, let's look at this left hook from Naoya Inoue. Now his arm lags back, but it's not such an extreme angle in the shoulder, right? The arm is coming back and allowing the pec to stretch, for example, just like you would with a fly, like a pec fly. I know it's a different type of movement. However, that stretch is going to allow the pec to contract more emphatically, more violently to power the punch. And you can see that the shoulder is more of a neutral position, the shoulder blade. And he's accelerating, makes big impact. There's a weight transfer, and that's one of the big shots against Das Marinas. Yeah, it puts him down. So you can see the difference there. We'll watch it again. You'll see Naoya's arm lag back to create stretch in the pec. It's not at such an extreme angle, and it's not forward, which will prevent pec stretch. His arm is moving back to stretch the pec and allow the pec to contract more violently to power the punch. Shoulder blades in a neutral position as the arm goes forward. And that's, of course, a big punch. The next fight I want to take a look at is Billy versus Khalil Turay. Now, this is Billy's first fight back after his wife was killed. And I understand that he was going through some tough times, right? Some depression, substance abuse. You know, as someone who's 42-0, you'd expect them to have a little bit of better defense. But like I mentioned, you know, he's a modern-day Rocky Balboa. And he's able to absorb this type of punishment and still win fights, which is quite remarkable. This fight, unfortunately, is his first professional loss to really someone who had no business beating him, right? Turay was not like an outstanding fighter. He was okay, you know, journeyman. In this fight, he got the job done. And we'll see here Billy take a bunch more punishment. It just appears as if he doesn't care, which is a real shame. You know, nobody wants to see a fighter get hurt in the ring. However, if someone's not defending himself, You think maybe the ref would have stopped the fight, but he didn't until Billy's corner threw the towel in, which was a 100% smart move. They should have done it earlier, frankly. But disappointing performance. Now, the next fight I want to show you is a fight between Billy and Keith Brady, which was a charity exhibition. However, you can see that under Tick Willis, Billy's defenses have improved significantly. Right here, you'll see him counter Brady with a nice right hand, and you'll see some improved defensive moves coming up here in a moment. Just exhibiting good head movement, which is what we want to see. Parry, more head movement, which is something that he should have learned earlier, frankly. I'm glad that he was able to link up with Tick, who's an excellent trainer. He was a great boxer in his own right. And he's done a great job at improving Billy's defenses. Now, Billy still has a long way to go to improving his punch mechanics, as you can see right there. Now, I talk about hip, torso, arm. Hips rotate first to stretch the crossbody kinetic chains, which can then contract, powering the torso into rotation, and then the arm. And you'll see here, Billy does not use any hip rotation, really, or torso rotation to back up his punch. He's simply moving forward with a little bit of movement, right? But he's not powering that punch with his hips, and he doesn't have his body behind it. Just very poor arm punch. And he needs to go back to the drawing board and really work on these mechanics from the ground up, working on pushing his hips in rotation with his back leg, allowing his crossbody chains to stretch so he can feel that, contract on them, so then he can create stretch between his torso and his arm to really accelerate the punch and put his body weight behind the impact and allow for an effective weight transfer and follow through, which he really needs to work on. Now, as a good example, let's take a look at this right hand from Julian Jackson. You're going to see a distinct series of movements. It starts with lowering his center of gravity, pushing his hips into rotation, and his torso and his arm follow. So let's look at them. There's a lowering of his center of gravity. Now his hips are starting to rotate. He pushes off. His torso really starts accelerating and moving. So does his arm until impact, where he transfers his weight. You can see his position leaning forward to support that weight at impact, and he follows through. Now the next fight I want to show you is Billy's fight against Miguel Escobar, who was sort of responsible for Billy's wife getting killed. So this was, a pretty important fight for Billy. But it appears that he's lost all of the defensive skills that he's gained under Tick inexplicably. He's not using any head movement, and it's pretty consistent throughout the fight. I guess he's able to change position there okay, but just really doesn't do a great job defensively in this fight. Here's another example of just an arm punch by Billy. And as you can see, there's just not a whole lot behind it. So you can see Billy's weight goes to his right foot right here. And as he's pushing down, he should be pushing his hips forward and into rotation to start moving his body weight towards his opponent instead of continuing to move backwards. This would allow him to use his kinetic chains, get some stretch in there, and really make a powerful punch that would have hurt Miguel. As you can see, Miguel's moving from right to left, basically moving into the punch. And if Billy had better mechanics behind this, really rotating his hips, leading with his hips, creating stretch in his crossbody chains, really getting the stretch shortening cycle to power his arm into movement with those crossbody chains, including his big pec muscle, which crosses the shoulder joint, he could have really done a lot of damage. And it's too bad, even, at this stage in his career, that he doesn't have better mechanics. Now, he wasn't in the best position here. However, if he had proper mechanics, he would have put himself in a better position to use them. He would have had the awareness of where to be relative to his opponent, the foot position, how much space he needs in order to be as effective as possible. And as you can see here, just another arm punch. Just a simple pivot and rotation rather than really powering the hips and the torso into the punch. No body movement forward to support the weight transfer. No big impact, no big follow through. If he was using better mechanics like you see Julian Jackson doing on the right, he would have really pushed his hips and his torso into rotation forward to support his arm as it comes out, really putting his weight behind the punch, and it would have knocked Miguel down. And here I want to show you perhaps one of the most amazing things I've ever seen in the ring. Billy switches stances, right, and throws an uppercut from a southpaw stance. So he's an orthodox fighter, but right here he switches stances. He throws an uppercut that Miguel never sees coming, simply because he switched to southpaw. Now that's something that you guys should probably incorporate into your game, learning how to switch stances, because it's going to open up a whole lot of opportunities for you. Just like it did for Billy here to win him this huge, important fight. All right, well, a little humor for today's video. However, hopefully you got something out of it too. I'm a big fan of Jake Gyllenhaal. I think he's a fabulous actor. I have a lot of respect for him, so this video is just a little bit tongue-in-cheek. It takes time and practice to get all the mechanics down and quality instruction. And if you'd like quality instruction that'll help you increase your power and speed, please check out my program, The Power Punching Blueprint. The Power Punching Blueprint is an A to Z program that will retrain and reprogram your movement patterns to use hip torque, your kinetic chains, and the stretch shortening cycle to power your punch. I've had some great testimonials for it recently, which you can check out on my website. If you'd like to learn more or buy the Power Punching Blueprint today, head over to howtopunchharder.com. That's it for now. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.